Hey guys, it's Ranger Red, and welcome back to another episode of the Triple R. Now, what's on my mind today? As per usual, talk about what's on my mind right here. So, right at the moment, what's on my mind right now is Warhammer. I'm a big Warhammer fan. A lot of us are big Warhammer fans. Not many of my friends are big Warhammer fans, but only like a handful. But when we find them, we stick together, all right? That's just what Warhammer fans are. Now, a lot of news about Warhammer right now is about the new Space Marine game, all right? But I'm not going to focus too much on that because I'm pretty sure there's a lot more people that are a lot more qualified to talk about the game than me, who doesn't even plan on getting the game because unfortunately, I can't buy it. I don't know why. I don't have any plans either way to just get the game, all right? So, what we're going to be talking about right now is Warhammer lore, particularly the lore relating to maybe the future Warhammer series that's going to be produced by Amazon and starring with executive production being led by Henry Cavill himself, who's a massive Warhammer fan, right? Henry Cavill, in numerous interviews, he made it clear that he's a pretty sweaty gamer.
How much time have you been carving out for your gaming life?
A fair amount. When I say a fair amount, that probably means a lot for those who don't know.
Just 4 hours a day.
Yeah, I mean, maybe more.
PlayStation or Xbox?
PC.
But the first time you got the call that you could play Superman, what was your reaction?
Well, the first time I got the call, I actually missed it. I was playing World of Warcraft at the time, and I had my priorities straight.
And one of his passions, one of his hobbies, is Warhammer. He played the Warhammer games, played the Total War, Warhammer fantasy setting as well.
I have been playing Warhammer Total War, Warhammer 3 Total War. And yes, some people of culture in the audience.
He also paints Warhammer figures. What's not to like about the guy? He's not only a gamer, but he's also just a massive nerd. And he has the embodiment of a big, massive nerd, all right? That's the true big, massive nerd right there. Now, in relation to the Warhammer series, all right, it's gonna be led by Amazon, all right. So that means it's gonna be released on Amazon TV, basically. The only problem is that when it comes to adaptations, Warhammer 40K is quite difficult because there are countless stories. There are so many time periods that you can go on, all right? You can go for the Horus Heresy, or you can go to the post heresy. Well, you can pick out a storyline, maybe the return of, I don't know, maybe the return of Rabute Gilliman, or maybe the rise of one of the Chaos Primarchs, maybe Primarch Mortarion as well, you know? So there's a lot, all right? Maybe they can even do the Fall of Sanguinius as well. So there's so many possibilities, right? You can even make your own story in it, in the Warhammer 40K universe, and still by far somehow make it canon. But this is the most difficult part, all right? That is the most difficult part out of the way. But here's the most difficult part is that Amazon doesn't really have the best track record when it comes to, you know, adaptations. I mean, we've seen Rings of Power. Somehow they got a season 2 coming out very soon. It's probably out now. Who knows? I don't keep up with the news of Rings of Power because ever since I first saw like the 2 episodes like of the first season, it was dog shit, and I just went, all right, this is not the best. All right, this is not Lord of the Rings. This is not Middle Earth. This is not what Tolkien's universe looks like. And the only thing that I'm waiting for in terms of like media adaptations of Lord of the Rings is basically Peter Jackson's new movie about the Hunt of Gollum, and also the animated movie of the War of the Rohirrim, basically. Those are the only 2 Middle Earth adaptations that I'm currently waiting on right now. And, of course, House of Dragons, but everyone's waiting for that. That's going to be for another video. It's up until 2026, unfortunately. Price and High Valyrian. Yikes. Anyways, going back to the Warhammer series right now, all right? So, way back in the much earlier news, right? Henry Cavill has said he is extremely thrilled to be involved in the adaptation for Warhammer 40K because this was something that he absolutely loved as a child. And being part of a project where your childhood is basically a part, you better take it, all right? You better take it, and obviously, you're going to have the best time in terms of being not only the lead role, but also the lead production, lead executive producer of the series. But here's my other fear, right? If Amazon messes this up, it's basically going to be the same story of Henry Cavill when he was starring as Geralt of Rivia back in the Witcher series over on Netflix. And unfortunately, they ever since that fallen off, they basically just soured the whole series. And I can't really blame Cavill on the faults because in terms of The Witcher's failures, in terms of the series on Netflix, that's on to the writers, all right? That's on the writers that's on the writers' fault because a lot of the backstage stuff that has been revealed, a lot of the writers and some of the producers as well, they just hated the source material. They even made fun of it as well. So they essentially just pushed it like a whole new avenue away from the source material of the book. But the problem is, that is what a lot of adaptative media of video games and books have done, and that's the reason why they fail. For example, the Doom movie, the Resident Evil movie, well, all of those failed because they stemmed away from the source material and just doing it in a whole new direction in God knows where, you know? That is rule number one that you should never break. And that's the reason why Lord of the Rings succeeded. Because it didn't stem away from the source material. It essentially used the media that they have already to tell the best story as possible and adapt it in film. Obviously, there's some creative differences that, Peter Jackson has done for the Lord of the Rings, but that's for the sake of the movie. And still, it didn't stem away from the books because a lot of the lines, a lot of the dialogues have been said, those are Tolkien from the books. So that's rule number one that you shouldn't break. Now, going back to Warhammer. Now, it says right here, according to Screen Rant, the actor opened up about his work on bringing Warhammer 40K into live action, speak in an interview, speaking according to Lighter, his new Gariel. While he was light specific details, Cavill shared how much it to bring the series to life, and he also went over. So he loved Warhammer since he was a boy. So making this is a truly special moment. So he couldn't be more grateful for all the hard work put in by Vertigo, which is one of the productions that's involved in the series, as well as Amazon. This is going out on Prime Video, and Games Workshop, which are the creators of Hammer 40K. One step closer to making an eye on lifelong dream. So that's all good, right? But this is where the bad news comes in. And obviously, it's not just because of the long time wait, right? I mean, we have to wait for House of the Dragon like next year, 2020, like 2026. God damn it. Make it happen, man. I'm very impatient, but this is not bad news, all right? It's not the long wait. Kind of is, at least for me as a Hammer fan. But this is where the bad news comes in. Because according to IGN, Games Workshop and Amazon have until December 2024 to agree on creative guidelines for Henry Cavill's Warhammer 40K film and TV series, or it won't happen. So they have until the end of the year as of filming. So speaking on the annual report, Games Workshop have discussed the deal that granted exclusive rights to Amazon films and television series set within the Warhammer 40k universe, with an option for Amazon to license equivalent rights in the Warhammer Fantasy universe following the release of the initial 40k production. So this basically means that, okay, we're going to have more Warhammer. The only problem is that they don't have the rights yet, at least according to this report. Because if the project ends up moving forward, right, that basically means that Henry Cavill has to have creative control. Because this is his baby. This is his childhood, all right? There's no failures, all right? And if he wants creative, control, you have to give it to him, all right? He had it with The Witcher. And the first initial series, it succeeded because he had creative control in it. Now, here's the only problem. The agreement will only proceed if the creative guidelines are mutually agreed between Games Workshop and Amazon. Now, this is where the similar issues sprung up, where, the closed book adaptations are in disagreement with the actual production on where they're going to take the Witcher series. That's just the example that I'm giving, all right? So you have the people who are loyal to Henry, including Henry himself, who are adamant on making sure that the series doesn't stem away from the source material, while you have the production from like the writers and other producers who are not very big fans of the source material and makes fun of it and would stem away from the series, and they would have creative differences, all right? So this is just an example on the many issues that would spring up if they don't come to a consensus, because they're just going to have a similar situation with The Witcher, right? And I'm pretty sure with the failures of Rings of Power, even though they're pumping so much money in it, because of course it's Amazon, they have endless money basically. They can just throw money into the problem and just, like, they don't give a fuck about it. But obviously, the directors and the higher-ups of Prime TV, they have to know that it's a failure, all right? They have to know that it's a failure. And the fans know it's a massive fucking failure, Rings of Power. So with that in mind, they have to not do the same mistakes that not only that Netflix has done with The Witcher, but what they have done themselves for Rings of Power. So let's move on to another report, right? So according to IMDb, there isn't money for the project. So there is so this is just a rumor, right? This is not confirmed, it's just a rumor. But a rumor has recently surfaced that in regards to the TV series Warhammer 40k, that it might be facing a turbulence, and the future show has never looked so uncertain because there hasn't been money placed on the table for the series. Because, and according to IMDb, Amazon MGM Studios were set to back it up along with Games Workshop. However, due to problems regarding Amazon's writing team, the project appears to be on the verge of getting shelved, and Henry stands helpless in front of the giants of a studio. So not only is there money problems because they can't agree on who has the rights or has the mutual rights on how to split series in terms of like the funds, right? But they also have problems with the writers. Again, same issues. Same fucking issues with what has Netflix done with the fucking Witcher. Same thing goes with the Rings of Power, all right? This is like the biggest fears possible for not only us Warhammer fans, but especially for Henry Cavill, because he's seen this already with The Witcher, and I can't even imagine what he's feeling right now. It's like, what the fuck, man? I left The Witcher because of these shit-ass writers, and now I have to deal with shit-ass writers potentially because on this fucking project that I really want to succeed because this is my fucking childhood in Warhammer 40k. And that has to be heart-wrenching, all right? That has to be so fucked. That has to be so fucked, all right? But newsflash, all right? It isn't the end of the world because this is just a rumor. And they can hire many writers. They can hire a lot of writers, all right, for the Warhammer 40k universe, all right? For example, the first person that comes to mind, Graham McNeil, absolute fucking good. Because this man not only wrote a lot of Games Workshop stuff for Warhammer, but he also wrote a lot of stuff for League of Legends. He's pretty much responsible for making a lot of things work for the lore, despite a lot of the champions designs, alright? It's thanks to him that the League of Legends lore is such a good one, alright? And it doesn't have any right to be good, right? As a League of Legends player, but who's a massive fan of the lore, it doesn't have any right to be good, alright? But thanks to writers like Graham McNeil, it's fucking awesome, alright? And it's thanks to him that a lot of novels for Warhammer has pretty much come to light. For example, a novel about Primarch Fulgrim. They can go for that route. Mechanicum, absolute fucking goat. Dead Sky Black Sun, Angel Exterminatus, False Gods, Storm Iron, The Outcast Dead, The Fury of Magnus. Like, he has a lot of good shit, right? He has a lot of good shit. Like, and that's not all of his books, all right, that he worked Games Workshop. He has a lot, but those are like the best ones that I can think of, all right? Oh, here's another one. Why not 1,000 Suns? Magnus the Red, Nightbringer, Legend of Sigmar, or Warhammer Fantasy, because apparently that's what Amazon wants as well. Warhammer Fantasy to become a thing as well if they have initial success for the 40k series. What about this one? Warriors of Ultramar, Forges of Mars. They can go for an Adeptus Mechanicus route for series in Warhammer 40k for all I care. So you can see that he has so much. Games Workshop has so much amazing writers. Hire them, dude. Amazon, you would be so fucking stupid if you don't hire Graham McNeil or some other writers that work for Workshop, all right? And don't make the same mistakes. Give Henry Cavill creative control. Give some other medium fans as well some creative control. Have them some input. Well, have some artists as well from Games Workshop themselves to have creative input on the designs of, let's say, the sets, the costumes. Like, there's so much stuff that they can do. They just have to not fuck it up, all right? It's just that I don't have that much faith. What they're doing with Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power, I'm fearful that they're just going to make the same mistakes that they make for that and what Netflix has done with The Witcher. And all I can say is that don't fuck it up, Amazon, right? You have the biggest pie. Just don't fuck it up. Alright, so other than that, I think that's all I'm going to say for now. So that's all for this video, guys. So be sure to subscribe, leave a like on this video, share this with your friends because why not, and leave a comment on this. I really love it back. Anyways, I hope to see you guys in the next video. And that's it. For now.